we are able to carry forward. So when we talk about embodiment, when we talk about who it is that we want to be, we have to be clear on what the intention and the vision is. And if we're not clear on that, then it is even harder to get to the actualization of it, right? And we only have one more conversation in the series. The next one is expression. So you have to actually actualize what this vision is. You have to become it, know it in your bones, in your person, before you're able to express it. So this step is often a misstep. And that's what I'm talking about, becoming. It's about making that decision that this is what you're doing, making that choice that you are dedicated, and as I like to say, devoted to it, giving yourself an opportunity to stretch out in it, allowing yourself to make mistakes and finding yourself in those failures along with those achievements and successes, and counting it all the same. That this is part of exploration, that without those failures or those successes, you don't have what it is you imagine you should have. So we're looking at all of this together. And what I would say here is, my next question, I'm going to check out your previous questions, previous answers. My next question is, are you currently an embodiment of the self you know you are? That may be a simple yes or no for some of you, or it might entail something else. Are you like your true self, your divine self, your soul self? Do you believe you are living the life that dictates that you are the embodiment of who you actually are? So I'm going to go back and look at some of your comments. Thank you all for chiming in. So I'm going to start here. Exploration plus engagement. Okay, so that's what we talked about last week. All right. The fulfillment of an intent. Yes. So embodiment as a fulfillment of an intent. So whatever you intend to do, you have to actually step into that. You have to actually give it due process and time to take form, to take place. There's something you might have done when you were a child, and somewhere in your mind, you're done with it. And you don't understand that what you put into it is still there. It hasn't gone anywhere. You can pick it up anytime you want or choose to never put it down, but it's still there. It's still within, right? All right. So embodiment is the fulfillment of the intention, coming full circle in one's journey. Yes. So as you start to understand that your journey is yours, as you start to understand that this path is yours, that it's feeding you and fueling you, then you start to give it a little more credence when you're starting to make decisions about how to be and what to be. And that's a really important thing. Okay. Yes, it is hard. One of the things that we have to remind ourselves of is that this is probably one of the hardest realms to live on, right? We have, we talk about spiritual realms, we talk about the etheric and the cosmic realms, but we know that the tangibility of something is really challenging. So just as we are the physical tangibility of our spirits, of our souls, we have to also be that in terms of our intentions. So what I would say is, there was one time several years ago where I just had this vision, and I've shared this with my students a few times, so if I'm repeating, please bear with me. I had this vision, and I was like, so I know, it's like me talking to myself, I'm like, I know we're all here. We're all here. I see us. We're all here, right? But I know that there's something higher than maybe what we're experiencing, what we're saying, what we're seeing about ourselves. And how do we get that vision, that ideal, that feeling we have? How can I pull that down into my life? How can I get it from being a concept, an idea, a download, and like really download it into my person where I'm actually experiencing it? And that was something that was so profound. It was a profound moment in my journey because it helped me to realize that they can be one, that it doesn't have to be a person who has a vision and say, wow, that would be nice. That would be beautiful. That would be cute. That would be kind. It's right now. Let me download that. Let me take a deep inhale and see if that's something I want to ingest. Is that worthy for me? And if it's not, sometimes you find it's someone else's idea. But when it's yours and you really believe in it, you're like, this is so incredibly worthy. Let me allow this to become one with me. So yes, this is challenging, we like to say. It is challenging. Not necessarily hard, but challenging in the sense that what we see, we have to be artists and creators and make happen. Sometimes with our hands, sometimes with additional thoughts, sometimes with focus, sometimes with communication and conversation, sometimes by mystical means, sometimes by study and research, and definitely by exploration. We have to take a look at that thing and see what's all to it that is beyond just the final presentation that we see other people enjoying it as. The embodiment is for you. The final picture of it is just the achievement and the destination of that embodiment. But the embodiment is for you. All right. So I see here Um, the grind and the hustle hates the process of becoming. Oh, absolutely. So when we are watching people grind and hustle, they're just trying to get it as quickly as they can. And you have to know where you lie on that scale. Who are you? Are you the hustler, the person who grinds, the person who doesn't get any sleep? Or are you the person who takes time to allow that process to complete? There are actors. There are actors who are now being awarded, who are now being awarded after spending 20, 30 years in this industry. There are people who thought their career was over. It hit rock bottom. We were celebrating the people who were grinding, hustling, and moving fast. And then those people now in this time of stillness are back on top. I know you all have been seeing this, right? So it's not a true narrative when we say that, you know, the early bird gets the worm and the first person and the quickest person to compete is the winner. It's not true. It's just not true. What is true is the person who sees it through is the true master and the true actualizer, because they didn't just drop it. They didn't just say, man, this is challenging, I got to stop. They didn't just say, you know what, I want to do something else, so forget this. And if they did and they picked it back up, they still didn't stop. They paused. So we have to be really mindful that everything has a timeline. And if you feel you're at a brick wall and you're not sure, take a breath. Stop pushing so hard. Sometimes we push too hard. You know, you could give your dreams and your visions hemorrhoids from pushing too darn hard. Don't be that person. Understand that you can trust the process and become while the process is happening. This is the important things. It takes the focus off of the things you're trying to achieve and puts the focus on, who do I become in that achievement? Oh, I don't know if y'all heard me. Who do I become in that achievement is more important than the achievement itself. It's why your soul has chosen that as an achievement for you, so that you can get into that process and that journey of becoming. If you never get into the process and journey of becoming, then yes, you can't reach the achievement. You can steal the achievement. You can rob someone of the achievement. You can finesse your way into getting the achievement. You can do other things and work your way up to the top to have that achievement. But if robbing, stealing, finessing, and cheating is not on your agenda, like it is not for many of us, then you have to actually see it through. And don't worry about what people think about how long it takes. Don't should yourself into a corner. I should have done this by now. I should be here by now. I should have this by now. I should be rich by now. I should be famous by now. I should be able to do this for my kids and my family by now. Don't should yourself into the corner. Become the embodiment so that you are walking in that intention. Should does nothing. It does nothing but shame you and criticize you unfairly into feeling like it's even further away because you don't have it yet. So where could it be? It must not be for you, right? That's what should does. Should is violent. So we want to get away from that violence and start to remind ourselves that who we are is enough. How we are is purposed and enough. And if we want to be something else other than who and how we are, then we have to walk the path in becoming the embodiment of who somebody would be to get to that place of achievement righteously. Okay, so becoming the embodiment means something like aligning with that vision, aligning with your attention. This is not just an idea you have. You see it on paper and you say, well, you know, if I do 20 hours of work and I hustle and I grind, I'm gonna be there. That may be true, but even hustlers and grinders go through a process. They may not honor it the same, but they go through a process. And a lot of times that process is hardening and causes people to be resigned, cynical, and jaded, and has them chase something new because they're like, oh, no, that's not popping. I'm not doing that anymore. So what we're looking for is the ability to align with the highest of our intentions and our visions and say, it will take me several steps, not baby steps, several leaps actually, to download these understandings and these teachings into my person so that when I do get to the destination, because I know I'm going, I won't be worn out, tired, sick, ill, sleepless, lifeless. When I get there, I will take the proper time to walk in it, and I will allow all the other blessings to meet me because it knows I'm on purpose. It knows I'm on purpose. I'm not off purpose, I'm on purpose. It knows I'm not tuned out. It knows I'm tuned in. It's not the idea of I have to rush because I'm afraid of something leaving me. It's I'm working on it already. And you don't let other people who want to beat you to the punch become greater than you in your mind. That's falsehood. They are rushing to a goal you are not rushing to. So you cannot compare two different things. People want to be the first. They want to be in the front. Good for you. But if you have a real strong purpose and intention, it won't work. And I'm saying that from experience. It will never work against you. That weapon cannot work against you, because people who have real purpose and experience, they may take a couple of L's from people jumping ahead and claiming things that don't belong to them. They're cheating their way ahead. But trust me, karma is equal. And trust me, that process is also due on both sides, right? So the person who's hustling, you're spending 10, 15 years on something, you have a different understanding, energy, and acumen than the person who picked it up and put it down. That's just facts. They might have made a lot of money when they picked it up and put it down, but yours is to come. Yours is the law, it's the marathon. It's not the sprint. And you have to always remind yourself of that, because it's too easy to sprint with people when you see a lot of people sprinting. You're like, oh, that's the race. I need to sprint. No, the race is getting who you are to be here with you in this life. And then that person can do all the things, right? You have to get to that place. Thank you for your answers. Partially still exploring my spirit self. So yes, I asked, are you the embodiment of your higher self, your true self, your divine self as you're living now? And I think it's going to be somewhat of a partial answer for most of us. Even if our egos want to say, absolutely, I think it's still a work in process. We're still becoming whatever it is that we're becoming. Can we embody and explore multiple things? Absolutely. Beautiful question. Thank you for asking this. Yes, you can embody and explore multiple things. So here is kind of what happens. In our society as a whole, people who embody one thing, or people that you can easily read who they are, what they are, and how they are celebrated, right? We celebrate those people so quickly. Oh, they're an engineer and they do this for this company, or, oh, this person sings songs, or they're a songwriter. That's what they do. We are quick to celebrate those things, and you notice it in society all the time. What we are not quick to celebrate are the people who are multi-hyphenates, who are multi-potentialites, as I heard about on the TED Talk long ago. We don't tend to celebrate those people as much, because part of us don't understand what is happening. Like, how can you be all those things? You must be bad at some of them. I've always been told that. You must be bad at a few of the things you do because you do so much. And what you want to do is say, but if I'm embodying soul, how is there a possibility to be bad in any of it? I'm being who I am, and who I am is authentic. So if it's bad to you, then that's your judgment of who I am. It's not my process. It's not for me to critique whether it's good or bad. It's for me to live it. It's for me to embody it. It's for me to do it. It's for me to be it, right? And then people can have whatever opinions they want to have. And this also happens in our celebrity sphere. You know, we tend to criticize people's arts and people's movements. And we know people are celebrated for different things. But how many of us truly champion the person who knows how to write the songs, sing the songs, produce the songs, perform? They're a wonderful person in the interview and as a host. They have this, they start producing it and executive producing. Sometimes we say, oh, man, they're doing too much, because it's us that can't keep up with it. It's not them doing too much. They're doing exactly what they know how to do. They're embodying that creative force that's moving through them that leads to the expressions, which we'll talk about next Sunday. But it's the idea of they are allowing all of these things to become part of them. One of my favorite people for embodiment is Erykah Badu. And we're going to talk about a social figure. She is a true embodier of multiple things. She doesn't put herself in a box. She doesn't say, oh, I'm a singer, I'm a songwriter, so I can't be a doula. She doesn't say, oh, I'm behind the mic, so I can't make beats. Or she doesn't say, because I'm a performer, I can only sing and perform with music. She can also act. She can also model. She also can raise some kids, okay? So it's like this idea of her picking all of these things that contribute to her life. And the point of why I'm bringing this up is we go from a singular focus, and then we go deeper into who we are and understand there is no limit. There is no capsule that says this is all we can be. It continues. We continue to become lifelong learners. We continue to see different systems and different things that intrigue us and make us feel curious. So we have to choose from time to time how much time we're going to spend. And I think this uplifts human value, because what ends up happening is you say, I don't really care about that as much as I thought I did. I care a lot about this thing, and I can do this for a long period of time because there's enough space in it for me to move around, explore, and understand. I could never be just a yoga instructor. That's not big enough for me. It's not. And I can be the best yoga instructor or not, but it's never going to be big enough for me. But the idea of applied yoga is huge. It's why I'm here right now. It's huge, right? The idea of my spiritual self and all that I can do in this life from my own curiosity and my own passion, which also applies to you, is huge. It's not simply, you got a degree for this thing. I have a business degree. I know business. But does that mean that I want to go run someone's company? No, I don't want to run anybody else's company. I turned that down right away. Not because I'm not capable, because I didn't want to become a master of someone else's business. I wanted to become a master of self. And so that's what my degree is in, master of self. And so what I've been doing is learning how to master self, how to get into the process of learning multiple things. Some people do that through a degree. Some people go to get their PhD because of the process it takes them through. They may not ever use it in a traditional sense. Are you all following me? A lot of times you can do things that you think are the achievement you want, and you do them and you move right through them, and you still haven't gotten what you thought you were going to get. I know people who went to the Army, the Marine Corps, whatever force they were a part of, and didn't leave there with what they thought they were going to get. People who've been in a relationship, been married, they didn't leave there with what they thought they were going to get. People who worked a job that was very prestigious and had all these awards and accolades, and they quit early because they didn't get what they thought they were going to get. Some people are retired and they say, now what? Because they didn't get what they thought they were going to get. This is how important embodiment is. It is about the opening up to whoever you are becoming and allowing it through. Don't resist it. Don't tell it it doesn't belong. Let it through. Because not only do you light yourself up, but you light the rest of us up as well. And your spark means something to the rest of us. Okay? Your words mean so much because rest is so important to embodying. We can't become in a state of anxiety. And a lot of us have been groomed to perform, and we do it so well, but it's all anxiety. Yes. Bingo, right? We talked about this in a previous saying. You have two states of the nervous system. One is about, fight or flight. The other is about rest and digest. And the rest and digest, in order to create, and this is from what I understand, it's an African proverb, you have to rest to create. You cannot be in a space of disarray and organized creation. Doesn't work like that. Now, you can create more chaos, and you can create from chaos, but we're talking about having the faculty where you're not burnout, having the faculty of where you understand what your intention is and you move on it with focus. That is different than just waking up and going, I don't know what this is. Let me just try something. It hits different, right? It hits different. So we all need that resting. Yes, this is being recorded, and hopefully if the live records here on Instagram, it'll go up on the Rebuild page instantly after. I usually have the live episodes on my website as well. I'm lagging behind. StaceyPatrice.com is my website. All right. So thank you for sharing the information. I appreciate that. Embodying that creative force. Right. Exactly. How do you stay grounded as you adjust to becoming the embodiment of your intention? You have to humble yourself. This is something that we talk about a lot in this community. There are moments and times for humility. There are moments and times for humility. A lot of people imagine you have to humble yourself the entire time. It doesn't quite work like that. It doesn't quite work like that. When you are trying to create something out of nothing, and you are doing it with your own hands by yourself in your own time, in your own space, and you are not being recognized, or people are not understanding, or they're overlooking, that usually is a time where you're not feeling quite humble. You are being humbled, but you're not quite feeling humble. Kanye West said he uses his ego as a steam to move forward. It's like this idea that you have to generate that power to do what it is that you need to do, right? That is on you to generate that power. And sometimes the things you discover, and this is why exploration is so beautiful to embodiment, sometimes the things you discover in generating that power, you didn't even know were there, or you didn't know you had them in spades. You thought maybe other people were better at this than you. You were so busy looking out there at people, you didn't even know you had it. So when you start to get in the process of becoming, you start finding the things that you didn't know were there. They're part of your process. How do you act when you're challenged and confronted? How do you act when someone says, you're not about to do that? Do you go and do it to prove them wrong? Do you take a moment and see if they're right? Do you reflect? Do you control your anger? Do you meditate? What do you do when you're being challenged and confronted about who you already have been discovering you are, or who you believe you are? How you set that vision? My response a lot of times, when people tell me that I can't do something or it's not possible, I just move around. Like, move around. I just move around, because there's no reason to continuously convince somebody of something. They are not my source. Another person is not your source. So some of those same people that say move around have come back around to me and said, hey, can you do this for us? And the idea of that is you want to make sure that what you're doing has a strong signal. It's already strong on its own accord. It's not about somebody else making that signal strong. Yes, you have helpers, guides, teachers, you know, gurus, whatever you have to help you get that confidence, to help you see your vision. You definitely need help along the way. That's why I've dedicated and devoted myself to be a guide. Because if I know something and I see people not utilizing that, I'm like, well, maybe they don't know about it. I don't just assume that they're big-headed and they don't know, and they do know and they're ignoring it. I give people the benefit of the doubt. They might not know. Let me break it down so it can forever and consistently be broke. Love Jones. All right. So it's just the idea of creating this, you know, concept with yourself. And the more you're in it, the more you're in rhythm with it, the easier it is to see. The easier it is to understand where you begin and where you end, and where other people may perceive or see you, and how to keep those thoughts out until you fully become that thing. Feedback is beautiful. As long as it's not harsh criticism, feedback is beautiful, because what you get is other people's understanding of the way things are. And for some people, that challenges you to say, well, let's change the way things are. And then other people, it says, well, maybe I'm going too far out and I want to be more conservative to reach these people who are challenging this idea. I always say, go to the moon and follow the people who are going to the moon, because we can have a journey all the way to the moon. If that's so big that you can't even envision it, let's take the journey. Let's take the journey and see who we become in the journey. My last comment about this is, and I've said this before, I did a retreat last year called Embodied Soul. And so this idea, people kept saying, you mean, be embodied soul? I'm like, no, embody soul as an action command. Embody soul. Make sure you are paying attention to your soul. Make sure you're paying attention to the messages you specifically get. Make sure you pay attention to how you function. Make sure you pay attention to what it is you know and value it, and then bring that into your experience. Don't keep asking people questions about your life when you already know the answer. Don't keep going to get 15 confirmations when you knew it 6 years ago. Embody soul. Become the person who knows about his or herself. Don't look for other people to know that, because they know what they're getting from you and what they've seen before. They don't know who it is unless they too are embodied people who can now spot it in others. That is so key. The idea was, hey y'all, we're going to Bali. Come over here. Walk with me, follow me. We're going to Bali. I got an adventure planned. Let's see what happens. Nobody knew it was going to happen. Nobody on that retreat, other than me and the retreat leaders, had been to Bali. Nobody knew. And they got on planes and spent 22 hours in the sky to go over there and find out who they would become. And the embodiment by the end of a week, or a little more for some people because they came early and stayed late, was so visible, even for myself, and I've been before. Take journeys that allow you to explore and find out who you become once you take that exploration. Embody who it is that wants to shine through. Okay? Thank you. I use my arrogance as the steam to power my dreams. It was coming, but it was slipping. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Mr. West, thank you, thank you. All right, so the idea here is, how can we embody? And I want to give a couple of questions here. What is your aspirational embodiment? This is a question for you all to put in the comments. What is your aspirational embodiment? Like the form that you would best want to see yourself as. It's important to identify and acknowledge this. Even if you don't put it in the comments because it's very private to you, write it down. Mark today as a day, Sunday, August 23rd, or if it's another day, if you're on the other side of the world, mark it down at this day and this time when you're viewing this, and say, who is it that I want to become? What is my aspirational embodiment? It's important to identify this, because you will look back at this and start to see the steps that you've taken to become it. Anything that you've become thus far, if you look back, there were steps, there were indicators, there were things that were happening behind the scenes, whether you were conscious of them or not, that got you here, right? And so if they could be the things that would lead to this version of embodiment, what are the things that lead to your vision of embodiment? And are you willing to jump on those things and utilize them? So now we're going back in the circle and saying, are you willing to pick up the spiritual tools and see how they work for you? Are you willing to use divine timing and pay attention to the timing of your life and say, it's giving me a message, let me pay attention to that and know that everything happens in its right time? Are you willing to use your curiosity to help you explore what it is? And then all the way to today, are you willing to become that person that you've been working on? Are you willing to allow it through? Are you scared of who this person is? Are you a little fearful about what it might mean to change lanes on folks? Are you fearful about, you know, what it might mean to become something that's so big that you don't even know how to get there? Are you willing to see it through these steps? And then next week in Expression, we'll talk about what to do in terms of how do you share that with others. Right now, it's still part of your process. We haven't shared it out yet. It's still a part of your process. Are you willing to change hats, faces, understandings, chemistry, vibration? Are you willing to do those things? Because that's what it takes. That's what it takes. And yes, embodiment happens over and over again, because once you get good at embodiment, you don't want to stop. You want to say, okay, what else can I be? What else can I do? And it just continues like to wax. Just continues to wax on, right? As you start to do that, you start to leverage the things that you've already become and embodied and transfer them over to the next thing. And that's when it gets really, really fun, because then you can talk about manifesting external things. But in the meantime, you got to really let yourself be here. You got to really let who you are shine. You know, you got to really give it the okay and the acknowledgement. I have a question. Is it important to be around others on that level? If so, where are these communities? Well, you're in one of them right here. The Soul Healing Yoga community has been in space and is being extended as we speak. It's not something that I can fully talk about now, but stay tuned at staceypatrice.com. There are more offerings happening. In addition to that, you have to, and this is the one, I'm glad you mentioned this. This is one of the top keys in this discussion. Sometimes you don't know where the communities are and which ones you belong to until you become, right? So I'll give a metaphor on this. If you want this really special and important relationship, you may feel that this relationship is far from you because you're not really aligned with it yet. You're not really the mirror of who you want to be with yet, right? And then you start picking people from where you are. Oh, this person can deal with me right here. This person likes who I am right now. But you forget, you're not staying here. You want to pick a person that can go where you're headed. Even if you don't know where that destination is, you know there's a route, you know there's a path, you know there's a process. You're looking for people who can be with you either at different points in that process or can run with you through the entire process, meaning that they somehow fancy your ability to process yourself through these changes, right? So that's how it happens in relationships. So it's no different in other relationships. The first thing that happens when you start embodying who you are is the people closest to you start looking at you real strange. Like, what are you doing? Who have you been talking to? What is happening? I don't recognize this person. That's a good sign. That's not a curse. That's a good sign. They don't recognize this person because you're morphing before their eyes. You're becoming someone new. And then there are people who may plug into you and say, oh yeah, I'm on that path too. Let's do this. You know, we can talk. You might start with one person or a couple of people that you talk to, you build with, and they understand it. But then when you get towards the expression part, which we talk about next week, so please tune back in next week, you start to become the beacon for this particular kind or brand of embodiment. And then now you start connecting with people just like you who are on the same page. But you have to embody first before you can attract. That signal has to be so strong before the people who are actually that way, not the posers, not the de-authenticators, but the people who are actually that way start to show up and start to be in your space, right? And it's okay. Everybody's in different spots in their growth process. So we're not shaming anyone for being where they are. We're recognizing and discerning the difference between people who are going to go that route with you and people who want to party with you right here at this rest stop, right? And if you know that's not where you're going to be, don't choose from that place. Don't choose friends. Don't choose life partners. Don't choose career paths. Start moving through it so that you have the right discernment to choose. And those communities start to show up as you do that. Thank you for that question. All right, a conscious change maker, absolutely. So when you start getting to that place, you realize that, you know, I know there are other people who need the same things I needed. I know there are other people who think the same things I feel. I'm not so much of an alien or a unicorn that other humans could not possibly think the same things I think, right? Or I need to be in a community of unicorns and aliens, right? Whatever it is, you understand that there's gathering that happens around this form of embodiment, that there are other people on this path. I tend to think it's important to have people who are not in your immediate circle, in your immediate space that you talk to regularly. People who live in another state, people who live in another country, another city, when you talk to them and you have intervals between when you talk to them, it tends to be a more genuine expression because there's space that you could become something that they didn't know you would become. You could change who you are. You could change the shape of things. And as long as it's done graciously, people tend to want to see these changes, right? They tend to want to see you move through what harmed you, what hurt you, or what held you back, and start to see you happy, whole, and healed, right? So those are the kind of friends, those are the kind of tribe you want to find and befriend. And you want to actually be one of those people. You don't want to just have those people around you and just siphon off of their life energy. You want to be one of those people. And part of this path is also doing a lot alone. And so if you're a person that doesn't know how to be alone, it's harder to get this embodiment we're talking about, because this embodiment is through discovery and study of self. It is through exploration of self. How can you become something if you don't take the time to pay attention to the process? Are your eyes even on what you're becoming? Becomes the question, right? So as we embody, we want to make sure we're in a place that we are, at least we're holding ourselves in high regard. We want a healthy place to do that. We want to start doing those self-love rituals that I discussed in previous satsangs early on that give us a little bit more energy to have the patience and the discernment in the discovery of self. Does that make sense, you all? I hope so. All right. So any other questions? I have one more question for you. The way to understand embodiment is, how do you give a body to your true self? How do you give a body? Meaning you will encase in this body who it is you actually are. How do you give a body to your true self? And so, you know, my answer is always, well, you have to do the things that lead you to where you want to go. That's the simplest answer I have. If you want to be someone who is held in high esteem, you can't do that cutting yourself short. If you want to be a person who is affluent and wealthy, you can't do that by lowballing your own talent, skills, and time. If you want to be a mother, you can't do that never having been around children, never having been in a position where you can interface to have the creation of a child. You have to do the things that take you where you want to go. And in this case, you have to do the things that get you to be who you want to be. That is the important part. You have to walk the walk. And this is something that a lot of elders and our ancestors have been through, have told us, and we've ignored it, and look where we are. You have to walk it. If you are about uprising, if you are about activism, if you are about changing, stirring the pot, if you are about loving, if you're about making the world a better place, if you're about sharing and spreading ideas through communication, if you are about creating art that helps heal people and helps to get people to understand our history and things that have happened, you gotta walk it like you talk it. You gotta walk it. It's not gonna work to just kind of, oh, I wanna be this, but I don't know how. Or someone one day will grant me the crown to be this. Someone will king me or queen me one day. No, I'm sorry. I'm here to let you know you have to walk it like you talk it. And it's okay, because now we have more information than ever to get started. Don't worry about how you start. Start. I wanted to learn how to play a bass. I didn't know the thing first about how to play a bass. Half the time I was learning how to play a bass, still didn't know thing first how to play a bass. And it was like, yes, Stacey, of course you don't know how to play a bass. You've never played a bass. But you got to buy the bass, honey. You got to buy the instrument or study it until you feel, okay, I'm done getting it up here in my mind. I'm now ready to physically play it. You got to walk it like you talk it. Yes, God, be willing to be a good trouble. John Lewis, yes. You have to be able to say, I'm going to get into trouble with my own curiosity. If I want to surf, I got to get in the water or find a reputable teacher. Maybe it's not safe for me to go it alone. Maybe I do need a guide because I feel there's danger on that path. How do I not get eaten up by a shark? Am I going to Google that? Yeah, I might. But does that mean that I have the right information, right? So you have to find people to help you get into that space. You have to find your guides. I guide people to get in line with their soul. I don't care what they do with it. Your wish is my command. If you want to become something that seems impossible, then my job as a guide is to help align with you to get there, help you get your alignment in order, get them chakras lined up, get your consciousness centered and cemented, get you in a space where you can be creative, Get you to stop harming yourself and sabotaging yourself. That's my job. What you do with it, that's your job. That's your job. So it's not really about what you want to do. You can do whatever. And we know, because we see it out here. There are people doing whatever right now. But you can do whatever. You know, it doesn't have to be traditional, conservative, or well laid out to start, you know, and it also doesn't have to be something you've seen before. There's a lot of magic within us we've never seen it. We're waiting for someone to say it's real. And then we go, oh, okay, now I want to do that too. Don't wait. Be the person that puts the light on it and says it's real now. It's real now. Now all of you can know that it's real because I'm an example of it. I'm the embodiment of it. That's how people know something's real. That's how they know, okay? Any other questions before we get out of here? This has been a beautiful session. I want you to think about what you are best capable of embodying right now. So we have the future. Who do I want to become? Notice if that vision feels too far stretched or too far reaching. And then think about what you're currently the embodiment of, whether that is a soft criticism for yourself or, soft, feedback for yourself, or whether that is something that you're really proud of. What are you the embodiment of right now? When you walk, what do you tell people you are? When you step into a space and no one knows your name, what leads? What shows up first? Is it your confidence? Is it your skills? Are you willing to jump in? I have friends that they are walking connectors. They're like electricity to me. When they walk in a room, they know how to meet the people in the room who are about that life. They know how to pull the cream from the crop. They know how to do it. They're not even aware that that's their strong suit. They just are like, oh, I always meet people. Hey, you should meet this person. They start connecting people. But that's actually what they should be doing because they're so freaking good at it. That's actually what they lead from. They lead from a discernment that most people don't have. They lead from a power, electricity, a force of energy that most people want to connect with. And then the exploration starts. Well, who are you? Tell me what's your most famous thing that you've ever done that, most people don't know about you. Having those weird but great conversations that let you know how other people fulfill themselves. One of the quickest ways to jump into embodiment, stop having small talk. No small talk for people who want to be living embodiments. You can't small talk because small talk is a form of cowardice when you're trying to embody something. It's not cowardice for the people who are trying to have it with you necessarily. They're on a different page. You don't know about their growth panel. But if you know about who you're trying to be, your conversations might have to dig a little deeper than just, so what do you do? Because that doesn't tell us anything anymore, right? What you do doesn't tell us anything. It doesn't tell us a lot. It might tell us how much someone makes or what they spend their time doing or where they're degreed or where they're proficient in terms of technical skills or on paper. But it doesn't tell us who they are. It tells us what they do. And that's the question we ask. What do you do? We got to start asking who you are. We got to start asking what do you care about? We got to start asking these deeper questions. Small talk for embodiers, for people who are going to be expressive, it's not enough. And the more you get into that expression, the more you become the force in your circle that says no small talk. You start making people uncomfortable just when you show up because they're like, I don't know what they're going to ask me today. You start putting people on the spot in a very loving way that says you're more than just a small talk. You're more than what the weather is and what politics and what sports are talking about. You're more than that. And I want to know more than that. And that's who we become as a community. That's who we become as a group of people. We start to really understand that who we are to the core is critical for humanity. And it makes us walk in it because we don't want to see the results we've been seeing. We want to love louder. We want to heal up whatever tells us we can't. We want to heal up whatever says it's not possible or it's not plausible or it's not traditional. We want to heal that up and start breaking it down in a way that other people can join the fun. We want to start having fun. We want to start playing with this life, playing with the cosmos and saying, hey, what else can I dream up? What else can I cook up? What else can I create with my hands? Who else can I meet? Can I meet people like this today? Make an intention. My intention is to be in a village of people who are lifelong learners, who want to live a life that really, we farm together, we cook meals for each other, we are in a space where we live together, we share bills, we share life lessons. Where is that community? Who are these people? Up to you. It's up to you. And so if you're waiting on someone else to create that community, you're waiting on someone else to Give that saying. If you're waiting on someone else to say it, that's fine, because that might be the push you need. But take it as a push. Trust the timing of your life. Take it as a push and start walking it. Start walking it. Are we together on this? I see a few of you all stuck in here, and you're still here. And of course, I always say this is the most courageous thing you can ever do, is to be with your own process and to allow yourself to be seen and heard by others. I have something really big coming. I've been working on it for a minute. And last night, it just changed shape. And it is in the final form of what I'm going to do. And I cannot wait to share this with you all. I am not a person who sends out emails unless I have something to say. So if you're on my email list, you're still on my email list, but I'm not going to bombard you with 15 emails reminding you that I exist. I don't have that kind of need in the world. And if I don't have anything to say, it's better not to say anything. I don't want to fill your inbox with noise. There's enough of that. So when I am ready to say something, I send out an email. As long as you have my email okay coming to your account, the email will show up. You can register for my emails at stacypatrice.com. If you spell my name wrong and you Google it, it'll pull it right up. stacypatrice.com. I am responsible for sharing the movement of self-love and soul healing. That is my movement that I rep. And I want to make sure that all of my people, all of these wonderful divine creators on this planet, are seen, heard, and understand in this life, as many as will allow that to get through and to come through, so that we can start to live the kind of humanity that our children's children can be proud of, that we leave footsteps, that we were here, and that we allow ourselves to be walking embodiments of what matters to us most, and the divine competency that we came here with. That's what I'm here for. It's bigger than yoga, y'all. And it's definitely bigger than where we are right now. We have to open up to that bigger scape, that bigger landscape, that bigger soundscape, that bigger heart, that bigger heart space, that bigger lifeline that exists in all of us. And that's what we do here. And truth is your North Star. Is it true? And if it is true, allow yourself to follow that and be the guiding light. Thank you all so much. Next week, we are here for Soul Healing Satsang. We are going to be doing the conversation for our expression, which is the last of these 5 topics. This was a 5-part series about creative consciousness for the month of August, which is a great month to do inner work. And we are going into the 5th conversation about expression next week. I hope you all will join me. Expression is so big, whether you consider yourself an artist, a creator, or just a beautiful human on this planet. Join in for the satsang next week, 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, here on the Rebuild Foundation channel. I want to thank you for listening. I want to definitely thank those of you who stayed. I want to thank Rebuild Foundation. Again, I am at Soul Yogini SP here on Instagram. Please tune in, sign up for my email list, and make sure this week you find a way to be the walking embodiment of who it is that you know you are beyond a shadow of a doubt. Start bringing that down into this experience. I love you. Have a blissful, blissful week. Be safe, be careful, be kind, and be you. Be the you that you are when no one else is looking, in front of everyone. Peace and love. Thank you. Hope to see you soon. Peace.